where were you at before? How much were you making roughly?
I think like before I was kind of at that 4 to 5K mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like a few months of working with you, I scaled that to about like 10K a month, getting
Mm-hmm.
10K a month pretty consistently. So it was almost like
Hmm.
a double like increase in my income in
I
a
love that.
pretty short amount of time.
All right, so I've got my private client Doza with me here today. I'm super excited to have a chat with him. He's gotten insane results inside of our private coaching program, Barber Vault. Doza, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone? Kind of give us a rundown of where you're from, how you got into barbering, where you were as well prior to us working together, and where you're at right now.
Sure. So yeah, I go by Doza Blends. I've been a barber now for 5 years. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I started barbering in 2021 or 2020, sorry. And it all happened because of like COVID. So like, my barber wasn't working at the time. So I needed to get a haircut. So then I just like grabbed a fucking pair of clippers and started cutting myself. And then, my buddies kind of saw that I was like always fresh and like, yo, how are you always staying fresh? Like no one's working right now. I'm like, I just cut my own hair. And then, my buddies were like, yo, can you just cut me up? And then I'll be like, all right, cool. Like, I mean, I might butcher it, but I'll try. And then, I cut a couple buddies and they're like, yo, come back next week, come back next week. And then, they have brothers, they have friends. And then, their brothers start reaching out to me, their friends start reaching out to me. And they're like, yo, can you cut my hair? And I'm like, I think I got something going here. And then, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just give this a shot. And then I kind of ran with it. But that's kind of how I started my barbering career. And then I kind of ramped it up like just, traditional like handing out business cards, getting references from friends and family, giving discounts, just kind of, figuring it out. And then I tried a couple of mentorships along the way, and it was cool and it really did help me like, reach that next level where you're not necessarily relying on the traditional way of barbering and more so understanding social media better. But I found that I reached a point to I plateaued and I kind of like stopped growing. And I think a lot of that had to do with, certain mentorships just being overpopulated and having too many people in it, where then like there wasn't as much attention on like specific attention to specific clients as it was in the past. Like, if you're in a mentorship with only 10 people in it, that mentor is going to give you a lot more, attention and help you grow your page and push you even that much more. So I found that I was just kind of like, a small fish in like a really, really big pond. And I feel like that's where I started losing track of like how to scale and how to grow and adapt in the social media, tactics. And then I came across your page, and then I saw that you were starting a mentorship. And prior to you even starting the mentorship, I was following you already, and I loved your content.
Mhm.
And then I hopped on a call with you. We started like figuring it out, like, is this like a right partnership to work with? And what really blew me away from what you were telling me was that you didn't even have a mentorship. You weren't even in a mentorship. And I thought you were because of the way you created your content and the way, you were, increasing your prices. I was very impressed by that. So to me, I'm like, oh my God, like I really resonate with that. Like he didn't have any help and he has an insane eye for content. Like I think this is what I want to do. And you told me that you were starting up at the time. And what really, got me into the program was more so you telling me that like you're just starting and like you needed results. So like you were gonna push on the gas and you're like, I am gonna promise you freaking results. And that's all I was looking for. Is like I just wanted someone to really take their time to really help me on my business, almost like tailor it to specifically my business, right? So then we started working together, and I think that's where like I took off to a whole nother level because of the amount of attention that you gave me and the amount of like specificity you gave to my business. I think that's what really took me to the next level was just the details in, how to attack my social media plan, how to run the business properly, and kind of starting from zero with a new mentor. I think that's what really brought me to the next level.
I love that. I love that. Got you. So you were in a program previously, and what do you feel like kind of made you join another program? You mentioned that it was mainly because of the level of support that was in the previous program wasn't as adequate for you at the time. Is that kind of what it was?
That's correct. Yeah. I think it just got so saturated, like specific mentorship. And I was in a few. I think it's just like there was just so many people in it. And like you said, like there was just not that support that I feel like was enough for me to like go to the next level because there was just so much people in the program. Like the program, certain programs would be so successful, obviously, in
Just
the in
I
in the
see.
right way. But yeah, I just didn't have enough support for me specifically. Like, less attention on a Q&A call would be like you get like 30 seconds per
Mhm,
person, right? And like I don't get
mhm,
to really,
mhm.
get that efficient
Got
help that
you.
I was looking for.
Got you for sure. And I guess going back in time as well, I mean, we can kind of see it from your content. What do you feel like were your biggest levers that you had to pull on, whether it's mindset or whether it's content creation that's actually helped you get this result right now? Like, what did you have to change? Do you feel like you had to maybe develop your eye for understanding what good content looks like and, just really changing your perspective on the way content creation works for you to get this result
Yeah,
as
I
well?
think yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was just like developing the eye for content. I think that was the biggest theme that I've personally learned over like the year or so like that we've been working together is understanding like having an eye for content. So it's not just like before I was just copying and like just hoping it works and not really understanding like why is it working or what about this is attracting eyeballs. But I think
Mhm,
working with you is like you kind of gave me a different perspective of like let's not just like for a lack of a better term like memorize content, but more so understand content. Why is this working? And I think that was the biggest lever I had to pull and learn from you, which was
mhm.
just understanding to have the eye for content. Because then
I love it.
you can take any piece of content and you can really blow it up as long as you
For
have that eye
sure.
for it.
100%. I feel like it's a skill at the end of the day. And I think, like you said, a lot of people just go ahead and try and replicate something and they might get a decent amount of a result. But really, when you start understanding principles, is what would probably take you to that next level. Because then you can take a principle from video A, take another principle from video B, put it together, and you've got a whole new content style. So,
Yeah.
Doza, tell us a little bit about where you're currently at. Like, you mentioned that you started and well, where were you at before? How much were you making roughly?
I think like before I was kind of at that 4 to 5K mark.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like a few months of working with you, I scaled that to about like 10K a month, getting
Mm-hmm.
10K a month pretty consistently. So it was almost like
Hmm.
a double like increase in my income in
I
a
love that.
pretty short amount of time.
I love that. Got you. And did you have to kind of get over a couple humps in terms of mindset for your price raises as well? Because you had to, I think, go through two price raises, or was it the one that we've
It
done so
was
far?
it was
Two.
I think it was two.
Two. Got you. Got you. Got you. What are you currently charging?
What's that, sorry?
What are you currently charging?
I'm currently charging $80 a haircut and then 100 with beard.
Got you. So, like, for someone that's listening that's currently charging, let's say $40, $50, and they think of your price point and they kind of think, like, oh shit, can I even charge that? Like, what
Mhm.
message do you have for them? Like, what mindset, hurdles did you have to kind of go over to get into the position that you're currently at?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me personally, it was just like I put so many limiting factors on myself that were not true. Like I would sit like make scenarios up that was just I was making them up in my head. Like for example, I would always think that like asking a client to like for like getting their permission to record, like it was annoying them and it was bugging them. And I think for me, that was such a limiting factor because like you would tell me like, no, dude, it's fine. Like just don't make it such a big deal. Like they don't care. Like as long as you're cool, they'll be cool. Like you set the tone. And for me, I
Mhm,
was just like, no, like, but I'm annoying them. And like, what if I get rejected? And you're like, dude, these are things that have you even tried it yet? Like, these are things that these are scenarios that you're making up in your own head that are completely false. And you're like, just try it, dude, and see what happens. And I think
mhm,
that's what I did. I just you know what? Let's just try it. For the sake of trying, let's just run an experiment and let's just keep relentlessly asking people, can I record content? And do not get, if they reject you, who cares? Like just
mhm,
relentlessly go after it and don't already say no when there could be a yes. Like you're
mhm,
basically telling yourself it's always going to be a no when you never even ask the question, can I, or whatever, right? So I think that was
mhm,
like the biggest game changer. Like if I could give someone a piece of advice that's charging like $40 a haircut, is like stop putting these limiting beliefs on yourself, whether that be there's no way I can charge that, or like no one's ever gonna let me record. Like just try it for yourself before you already put that belief on yourself.
mhm, mhm, for sure, 100%. I think a lot of people maybe experienced that because they've sat in someone's chair and felt that for themselves, or maybe they've asked one person, like, yo,
Right.
bro, can we record XYZ? And they said no. and then they then project that to everyone, right? And I think that
Correct.
one belief is definitely holding a lot of people back. But in terms of raising prices as well, did you ever feel that, especially now that we're going up to 100, right? Very shortly, did you feel the kind of tension, or did you feel nervous about making that jump? You know, you've gone from 50 to 80 now, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Um,
60 to 80.
Okay, yeah, got you, got you. So, in that regard, bro, like, what would you kind of say to people, bro, that might be in a similar position, that are wanting to raise prices and are just scared, really, to raise prices?
Yeah, I mean, I think like we alluded earlier is like if you have a proof of concept and you understand of having that eye for content and you understand these principles, the fear slowly starts to fade because you're like, if I did it once, there's no reason why I can't do that again. Like you develop like competence, like confidence comes from competence, right? So like if I prove to myself that I've done it 2 times already, why can I not do that a third time? There's no reason that I wouldn't be able to do that again. If I already proved to myself that I could do it. And I'm not doing it alone. Like I have a community in this mentorship that, like we're all together. Like we can always ask each other. Like if we ever even feel fearful, we could express that on a Q&A call or just reach out to you and be like, hey, bro, this is what I'm feeling. And you can be like, nah, bro, you're chilling. Like you've already done that. You're just reassurance. So I think one is having that community behind you that will
Mhm,
push you even when you don't want to. I think that's massive. And I
mhm.
think the second one, like I was saying, is just having that proof of concept already. If I could do it once, I could do it again.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Got you. 100%. I think the first one would probably be the most nerve-wracking, but like you said, having someone that's already done it before literally guide you and support you throughout the process, and everyone else as well that's gone through that process inside the program like, yeah, it's just the first couple of weeks you have to get through, and then you're going to be completely
Of
fine
course.
after that,
And you're not
right?
alone. You're never alone, dude. Like, and if you have a mentorship and you're in a program where people are
Mm,
on the same path as you, you're never alone. I think there's comfort in that, knowing that, okay, I'm
for
not the
sure.
only one that feels this way, right?
That's
Like,
feeling this
I
for
have
sure.
support. There's people that understand what I'm like feeling or what I'm going through, and you work it
Mm,
out together. I think that's like super, super important.
for sure, for sure. Let's talk about the mentorship a little bit, bro. Like, which aspect of the mentorship do you feel like you found the most useful, the most helpful?
I personally would say it's a mix of like the one-on-one calls, like that half an hour to 45-minute call that we get with you, because
Mhm,
that time is super important because you could really get a super deep dive on what's going on with either your content or your business strategy. And I think
mhm,
the feedback that we get from you is like super, super impactful because it's so much attention to detail that you wouldn't think. Like, for example, like if we have a video that's not working, right? There's a specific content strategy that's just not working. We'll take a deep dive. We'll compare side by side with our, point of optimization,
mhm,
and you will like literally give a second eye that like, oh my God, I never even saw that. And it's something
mhm,
so small, but the payoff is massive. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I found that have helped in the mentorship. And for two, I think it's also the Q&A calls because you get to see other people's mistakes or something that they need to also improve on. And you're like, oh my God, I've actually been dealing with that exact same problem. Like I could apply that on my own, you know what I mean, in my own business. And I think
mhm,
as well, like also, of course, learning from others, but also just like being able to like give feedback to each other on those Q&A calls. There's sometimes
mhm,
little moments where we can like, hey, like, can I give advice to this person? And then like we get
mhm,
even like a third eye, your perspective, and then it's someone else's perspective.
mhm.
So it's just a big, it's a big supportive group that we have in these Q&A calls. So I think those two things are definitely what's impacted me the most in the mentorship.
For sure, for sure. Now, obviously, speaking about content more, like, you've essentially, let's be honest, you've created a content style dozer, right?
Yeah.
Like, you are the CEO of the styling video that
Yeah, that's
everyone
for
seems
real.
to copy, right? So
Yeah.
so let's go back in time in terms of like how we kind of came up with that. What did you had to learn to even create like your own baby in terms of a content style, bro?
Yeah, I think like the biggest thing learning wise was just for one, understanding that like and I've harped on this call a lot, but it's just so true. It's just attention to the tiniest details will give you the biggest payoffs. Like a lot of the times when I would like show you what I was like working on, you'd be like, "Oh, it's like your light. is not positioned in the right way. And I'm like, dude, there's no way that that's gonna be the thing that's not making this video successful.
Yeah.
It's just such like
The
it's such a
tiniest
tiny thing.
nuances.
And I'm just like, there's no way, Prasad, that this is what's not like allowing my video to pop off. You're like, dude,
Mm.
just trust me. And I'll be like, okay, fine. I'll do it the next day. Boom, like got like 100K views, 100K likes. Like it was just
Yeah.
insane. So I think that
Mhm.
was the biggest learning thing was just like how tiny of a detail can make such a world of a difference in a video. I think that was probably the biggest thing for me when it came to this particular style of video. It was, you're right. Like it wasn't just like, oh,
Like if we go back in
do this.
time, right, when we first started working together, I think I remember I was even trying to show you like pacing of a video and
Yeah.
then or just
Yeah.
tempo overall. Like I was editing a video in front of you and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
look, this
Yeah.
is you know what I mean? And like so we kind of really built your principles up from the ground up, right? Would you kind of
We
agree?
really did.
In
Yeah, we
terms
really
of
did.
yeah. And so but like don't get me wrong, it wasn't, it wasn't an instant thing, right? It took you, I'm
Right.
assuming like a couple months to really grasp each kind of
Yeah,
fundamental
like
nuance.
this was
Maybe not a
not
couple of
by
months, but
yeah, well,
yeah.
this was by no means like an overnight fix. Like, dude, I
Mhm,
remember spamming you with videos and pictures of my setup. Like, what do you think of this? Is this right? You're like, nah, it's not like this. Move your light to the right. And then I'll spam you again. Like, is this right? And like, I was just hounding you like every single day. I remember like on our WhatsApp like chat, like it was just me spamming videos and pictures and like going back and forth. Like, it definitely was not an overnight thing. Like, it was just relentlessly like hounding you down until I
mhm.
got this right, until I got the nod of approval, like this is what it's gonna blow up. Like until I got that, I was on a mission to fix anything and everything and just consistently get that feedback loop. And I think that's the most important thing is just being able to make an iteration, then send it back for feedback, and then just have that on a loop. Because
Mhm,
the more I found that like if I took time, like if you would give me an iteration to make and I would take like a few days like
mhm,
those few days, we could have already made insane amount of progress if I just had already done it from the very
mhm,
get-go. So I
mhm.
think it was just having that loop of like feedback, then make the iteration, feedback, iteration, and like I said, it was not an overnight thing. Like you said, it
Yeah,
took probably 2 months of just going back and forth
for sure.
nonstop.
For sure. But yeah, that's why I said I think I definitely want to give props to Dozer because he was like 24/7 he would ask questions, right? Which is what you want, right? Out of someone that I'm working with. Because the longer you kind of delay that, the longer the feedback loop, the slower you're gonna get the result. But
And it's sorry to
um
interrupt you, bro. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt
tell me.
you. But I will have to say, me also being on the other side of the world in Canada, like you in Australia, like I had to be on top of my game with the timing because
Yep.
again, I didn't want to waste any time. So like obviously we're on different time zones. So like
Hmm.
I had to make sure that I was
Yeah.
on like I was on point with the timing because I didn't want to waste any of that time.
For sure, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think those are used the perfect playbook for how to go about inside of a coaching program, right? He used all the support that was there in terms of the one-on-one, the group calls. He went through the program, and he was always posting in the group as well. So, and I think, like I said, it's more of like a 50-50 thing. I think I can show you how something needs to be done, but if the other person isn't going to reciprocate, then it's going to be a long process, and you might not even be able to get the result. So again, shout out to Doza for genuinely putting in insane amounts of work. Those are for people that are currently watching. That we'll start with people that are in the program because the people in the program are going to watch this as well, right? People inside the program. What's one piece of advice you would give to them?
It's a great question. I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give anyone in the program is to stay consistent on the Q&A calls. Like you can't miss a single Q&A call. I think that's like law. Like you should never miss a Q&A call. And for two, I think like we were mentioning it earlier, is like every new video that you're gonna post, just get feedback on it. And that way you can get this feedback loop of always getting that iteration like as soon as possible and make that a habit. Like you have to be posting in the group all the time. Like that has to
Mhm.
be your bread and butter. So I would say those two things of like making sure you're on every Q&A call and getting a consistent feedback loop is
Getting
what's
feedback.
gonna skyrocket your results.
I love that, bro, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt, I think that feedback loop is what's going to get them the result the quickest. Now, Doza, what would you say to someone that is kind of on the fence of thinking about joining a mentorship program, but they are just, either either they're psyching themselves out or they're not really sure whether it's the right decision for them. What message have you got for them?
I would say personally, like I've never once have invested in myself and regretted it, not a single time. And because I feel like I'm at a point now where even if I get one or two gems, like for me, that's a massive W because those gems are like something that's gonna push your business forward. And in business, there's no staying stagnant or going backwards. It's only going forward. So if you get a gem or two that's gonna push your business forward, for me, that's a W. And I personally have never invested in myself and never been like, well, that was a waste of money. Like I've always like thanked myself that I did it, just because it always pushes me forward. And I think in this case, specifically with this program, I think obviously it's not a scam, but I think the commitment you have to this group and the level of detail and attention you give to each one of your students and each one of your clients, I think it's unmatched personally. Like I've never met someone that's given me so much detail and so much as well as patience, honestly. The amount of patience that you have with each of your students, I think is unmatched. And I think personally, like you deserve a lot of credit for that. So for anyone watching that's on the fence, like Prasad is definitely someone that you want to have as your mentor just because of the amount of time he gives you and the way he pushes you too, like to grow your business. For me, I've never met someone like that. So I think it's unmatched.
I appreciate that, bro. That genuinely means a lot to me, man. But yeah, like I said, I would give you props. I'll just kind of give you the exact same kind of compliments back, man. You have been able to just show up every single day and do the work that's required, and you're just relentless in terms of being able to want to get the results. So, W Dozer, W Dozer.
Definitely.
Cool, Dozer. Why? Where can people kind of find you at, bro? What's your IG?
IG, TikTok, Doza Blends with the Z, Doza with the Z, Blends with the Z on both IG and TikTok.
My guy, my guy. Those are what's next for you, bro? Over the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months. We're at 10K right now. What are we kind of going for over the next, year-ish?
We're definitely going for another price raise, going to $100 a haircut, 150 with the beard. And then we're definitely going to aim for 50K, 15K months consistently. But yeah, I think that's the next few months away.
Hell yeah. I guess everyone will see you when you cross that 15K month mark. We'll definitely have to rip another one of these interviews, bro.
100%, bro.
My
100%.
guy, my guy.